Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
It's a pleasure being back here to see Mr. Hayden again. I haven't seen for 5 or 6 years. To see Tom Mead, who helped me build this golf course. Just to come out here and play golf again. There was a while that, because my family doesn't play golf, that I really wasn't playing much golf around Traverse City, and I didn't come out here for 2 or 3 years. The last couple of years I've been coming back just a little bit, and golf course is in much better shape now than it has been any time in probably the last 10 or 12 years since right about the day it opened. And it's really a pleasure for me to come back and play it and to see, this was not conceived to be one of the quote-unquote great golf courses in the world. It was conceived as a place that was a really nice piece of land to build a golf course on, something that would be fairly affordable for the people in town to play, and 15 years later, that's what it is. And that's as rewarding to me as getting all the accolades for building golf courses around the world. But I did want to take a little time to show you a couple pictures of what this place looked like 15 years ago, just to show you how much things change over time. I mean, it amazes me. Some of our work is consulting at older golf clubs, and we work on golf courses that are 50 or 75 years old, and try to explain to them how different the golf course was originally than what they have now. But seeing it here over 15 years, even though I've been around and kind of making suggestions here or there, it's amazing how much different some things look now than they looked when we built the golf course. So I've got a couple slides from here, and then a handful of things we're working on in different places around the world right now. I'm going to rely on my intern Sarah to do the technology for this, and hopefully I can just talk about pictures and hopefully you can see them all. The lighting in here. We could wait till 10 o'clock, but I don't think anybody wants to wait. This picture was actually taken this is the back tee on 14, way back. This is the fall of 1987, and I was 26 years old and in the middle of building my first course on my own. Taken from the back tee with the ferns down in the valley, and the reason I wanted to point this picture out is there are the trees, the pine trees that were on the back 9 when we started building the golf course. We pulled them all out by hand so that we wouldn't tear up all the ferns and everything else back there. And if I had visualized well how quickly this place would grow up, I would have pulled more of those trees back then, because I really liked being able to look across those holes on the back. And I think it's the next slide, or maybe the slide after. Go one more.
Well.
After. That's a view from the 14th green across to the 11th green. That's 11 green on the far side, but that's from 14 looking across to 11.
I don't know why it's
a year or two after the golf course opened. When I come out now, this is a picture of the 5th hole from the fairway, looking to the green. It was kind of a nasty day. It was just starting to rain. But here are the cherry trees, some of which were on the front end, and if you didn't play the golf course when it opened, there were a couple more right there. So you really had to be careful about where you were driving the ball. It was the narrowest hole on the golf course. And we had to take out a lot of the cherry trees when we built it because the farmers were worried that we wouldn't spray them, and they'd get diseased, and then the next door neighbor would get diseased too. But those cherry trees were already at the end of their life when we built the golf course. So 5 years after we were done, they all had to come out because they were just old and getting decrepit. But it really changed. When you go on the 5th hole now and you look at the mowing lines, these big swoopy lines going in, and if you're going up to the green, there's a big swoopy line on the left, and you wonder, what the heck is that there for? It's because it was going around a tree. And that just hasn't changed. We've never gone back and changed anything after the fact on those. But there's some things out here that are just remnants of old golf course that was really built around something that's not there. And it's amazing how much there can be like that, you know, even on a golf course that's not that old. You know, when we started the golf course too, we tried to plant fescue fairways, which, you know, honestly, we had some idea of how to do, and we thought was a neat idea based on what we'd seen overseas. But, you know, everybody told us, oh, that's never going to work. And, you know, and when we had trouble with it early, it was like, oh, see, I told you that's never going to work. So, you know, over the years, these have kind of matured into bent grass poa annua. There's still some fescue out there, but not very much. But I'm happy to say I was part of that experiment, because if you look now at what are considered the best golf courses built in the last 50 years, they are sand hills, banded dunes, Pacific dunes, Whistling Straits, and Friar's Head, and they all have fescue fairways. So it did work. It just didn't work here back then. And you know, I was glad to be a part of that a little bit, because it does let you play a different kind of golf where the ball bounces and rolls a long way in the fairway, and you know, you have to be careful hitting into the greens for fear it'll take one hop and go over. When I built this golf course, having worked for Pete, it was the first time I tried to build bunkers that looked like old-style flash sand bunkers. Everything Pete built was just sand flat in the bottom and a grass bank like that. So I had never tried to do anything different. And, you know, over the years we've gotten way better at building bunkers. You know, the one thing I look at here and think, you know, I would never really want to change this golf course, because it is the first thing that I did, and I still love a lot of the holes, and I still think it's some of my best work. But, you know, there are things I've gotten better at through 15 years of practice, and this is the main one. Two things about it. One, you know, I've gotten better and more studied at what we're doing, and two, I've got a half a dozen guys that work for me that are way better at doing that stuff than I ever was. And, you know, Tom Eaton and I basically tried to build this golf course all ourselves, because we didn't have a lot of other guys up in crew that had ever built much before. And we had a lot of fun doing it, but, you know, it's nice to have real talented help to get these things done right. And I've got a lot of talent, both here in Traverse City and out in Colorado, that guys aren't afraid to travel all over the world. That's the 13th hole when it opened. I drew that in because you could still see more of the ferns and the little pine trees that were there. And, you know, some bigger trees out in the rough, but, you know, nothing like the woods that it is now. You know, a lot of young architects ask me now, well, you know, isn't that first golf course, isn't that the hardest one to get? And I say, well, you know, it is and it isn't. I mean, certainly I owe a lot to Mr. Hayden for letting me design a golf course on my own when I was as young as I was. I could never repay that. I should have done it for free.
The check was nice, though.
But it was nice to be paid.